just going to put handcuffs on just for now.
A 12-year-old girl from Oklahoma on body camera after she stabs her younger brother to death. What her mother is now saying about the unimaginable and heartbreaking situation.
Now, everyone, I had originally done a render of this video already, and I was going to upload it, but I'm glad I didn't. Because when I was looking for a thumbnail for this, I found the reverse. This is a case where a 12-year-old girl murdered her younger brother, right? And again, when I was looking for a thumbnail, I found the reverse, an older boy killing his younger sister. And you'll see some massive differences. That is the older brother case. There are much more details to explain why he did what he did. Also, notice here he is. They're showing his face out for everyone to see. This 12-year-old girl, her face is blotted out, isn't it? So, typical fashion, they protect the female murderer and they don't the boy. So, but in both these cases, both cases, the mother forgives their child. She forgives this girl for stabbing, and this mother forgives her son. Why do they do it though? Because the mother is the cause. That's why. That's what they're leaving out. That's what they say it in here, but they leave it out here with the girl. So I'm going to read you the most important parts, right? Here's the revealing part with the boy, or 13-year-old Paris Lee Bennett beat and choked his baby sister Ella before brutally stabbing her 17 times. That is brutal. And down here, they give the motivations of why he did it. So what possessed Paris, who always adored his sweet, sassy Ella, to commit such a heinous crime? According to New York Post, Paris told police that he had woken up wanting to kill someone. Initially, he planned to kill Ella, then stab his mom when she got home from work. And what was the motive? To punish his mom for her drug use. Right? And you're going to find out that nothing like this is discussed in the case of the young girl. It all started before Paris was even born. When Charity was 6, her dad, Bobby, was found shot dead. Initially, Charity's mom was a suspect, but later acquitted. Okay. The ordeal took its toll, and Charity turned to heroin as a teen to cope. What, not alcohol? Not some lesser drug? I suspect she got into heroin because she just wanted to get into heroin, right? Kicking the habit in uni, she was still plagued by cravings and even considered suicide. But falling pregnant with Paris changed everything. Holy shoot. So this girl got addicted to heroin, and then she decided to get pregnant. Right. That's brilliant. However, when her son was 11, Charity relapsed on cocaine for 6 months, leaving him to look after his sister. So she abandoned this boy. Right? So she damaged him. Right? And here's something else. This little boy is going to get punished for what he's done, or has been punished, and they call him a psychopath. Right? Now I'll even get to it. Yeah, right here. 6 months on, Paris Lee Bennett pleaded guilty to capital murder and was sentenced to 40 years in jail. Now, we'll see if that happens with this young girl. They may not, right? Now, the next chapter. In time, Charity started the Ella Foundation, a nonprofit to prevent violence. She was the cause of this. So she's going to make money, a nonprofit. Is she going to get any of it? 12 years on, incredibly, Charity is not only forgiven her firstborn for what he did, she still loves him. Well, she's responsible, isn't she? But that doesn't mean she's not petrified of her psychopath son, now 25, who's on parole. See, so they call this boy a psychopath, right? Now we'll look at this case and we'll see if they call this girl a psychopath or if she gets jailed. Okay.
Hey, what's your mom's name?
Xander died at the hospital from several stab wounds to the chest, and April Lyda is standing by her daughter. On a GoFundMe page set up by friends, Xander was described as the sweetest boy who loved
Another GoFundMe page. When these kids get murdered, all of a sudden money gets involved.
to ride his bike, play Fortnite, and run errands with his mom. Lyda is standing by her daughter, saying she was a well-behaved child with no prior history of behavioral problems, and that she was
That's true, isn't it? So she had no problems. What went on, right?
put on a medication that she was off of for more than a year. But Lyda says it was not a psychiatric medication. She said she couldn't go into detail about it. She also disputed that her daughter is a so-called cutter.
Was she able to tell you what led to her stabbing him?
She has no idea why she did it. She's heartbroken and feels very guilty, but she still doesn't understand why she did it.
See the contrast here? So something's going on here that's not being told, right? So this girl was perfect, and all of a sudden she just went ballistic and killed her brother, right? Whereas the little boy's case, it all came out.
She said it was like it wasn't her. And the team of specialists working with her, they believe her after working with her for the last 6 months every day. And I believe her too, because I know my child and I know that wasn't her.
Joining me to discuss this incredibly sad case is Dr. Angela Arnold. She is a psychiatrist based in Atlanta. Dr. Arnold, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Arnold, this case is just heartbreaking. Your thoughts upon learning of some of the things that April...
They didn't say the little boy's was heartbreaking, did they? Right.
Lyda is claiming about her daughter. The fact that, you know, she had these old cuts, she was off of a medication. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's very concerning. First of all, she's only 12 years old. It's difficult to treat young girls that are that age. You have to be very careful about the different kinds of medicines you give them, and they can cause different side effects. We've heard that this little girl she was diagnosed with ADHD, so some sort of attention deficit disorder.
Okay, we know that doesn't lead to this at all. The world's full of children with that that particular problem. So that's not it.
So you're to assume that she was put on an amphetamine for that. Okay, that's how we treat attention deficit disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm also assuming that she was having some sort of side effects with that medication in her past treatment because they took her off of it for a year. And then they say they put her back on it and she had some more side effects from it. But she was not on the medication when this incident occurred in which she killed her brother.
Exactly. They're making excuses for the girls when they didn't make it for the boy, right? They just came out and said this is what the motivation was. They're trying to make it that excuse this girl's actions by saying that the medication zonked her brain, right? So what's really going on is the mother is protecting herself. The mother is responsible somehow. That guy they showed is the girl's stepfather, not her father. So where's the real father, right? Or her birth father, whatever you want to call it. Right.
So what does that lead you to believe? Because stimulants are commonly used to treat ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There are some non-stimulant medications. They're not revealing the actual medication that she was on and then off of. So what does this lead you to believe then?
Well, she wasn't on the medication at the time that this occurred. It's what they're describing could be a brief psychotic episode. She could have had a brief psychotic episode in which she went.
Yeah, this is bullshit. This is bullshit because again, when the little boy did it, When he killed his little sister, they didn't say he had a psychotic episode, did they? They didn't make any excuses for this boy.
Outside of herself and went in, and she didn't know what she was doing, and she killed her brother. But you can't link that to a medication that she was not on. It cannot be linked to a medication that she was not on. It could be linked to a very stressful life event. If something stressful had happened in the home, that is the biggest cause of a brief psychotic event.
Exactly. But it's no more psychotic than what the boy did. And he was considered a murderer and a psychopath. So something went on in her home, which I suspect one or both of her parents caused. And now, instead of calling her a criminal like they did the little boy, they're saying she had a psychotic break. It's something that she temporarily went insane. You can't blame her.
Okay. It can also be linked to illicit drugs, cocaine, LSD, heroin, and PCP. Those things can all cause a brief psychotic event. But if she was not on a medication for her ADD or ADHD, whichever one.
You guys heard her at the beginning. Does she sound like she's drugged? No. So there's no point them even going on about drugs all the time.
She had been diagnosed with, then that medication would not have caused this behavior in her.
Let's listen to a clip from this interview that April Lyda did with Chris Cuomo on his News Nation show about what she explains. April Lyda basically explains what she believed happened. Let's listen.
Help me understand. So she was on an ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, very common for parents out there. They'll hear about it.
Yeah, see this? I don't know if that. I know the father is. He may not be the original. I know they've got a stepdad now. Okay, so I don't know if that's him or the original father.
They come with indications, but there's usually guidance about, well, you may start seeing things. Was this part of a downturn or a spiral? Was there any other behavior that gave you any indication that the kid was unstable?
No. She was fine. She wasn't unstable until she was put back on the medication.
Okay, this is bullshit. Absolutely. The psychiatrist just admitted she did this before she was put on the medication. So the mother's lying. So the mother's hiding something.
So she was on the medication.
She hurt herself.
What happened to take her off it?
She cut her arms within a month of being back on it. So I immediately took her off after speaking to the school and her doctor and herself. We had a long conversation. She said that she felt like she was really irritable, angry for no reason on the medication. So, of course, I took her off of it. Unfortunately, it was too late. The damage was done. Stuff like this can happen months or even years after being off of a medication like this.
Dr. Arnold, what do you make of what April Lyda said?
I do not believe that the mother can assume that months off of a medication, it can trigger behavior in someone like this. Okay? The medicine is.
Thank you. I know she's still talking, but I just want to interject here that this is for ADHD. You would see cases of this in other kids if that was the case. It's not no.
Out of her system. The medicine does not last for a long time in her system. And the mother is assuming that that a medication went in and did harm to this little girl's brain. However,
I don't think the mother's assuming anything. I think the mother is hiding behind it.
The mother was also saying that the little girl's behavior up to this point was fine. She was not exhibiting any bad behavior, and she's not exhibiting any bad behavior in prison. So why would you cannot?
Oh, they did put her in prison. Good.
Not say that this behavior comes and goes off of the medication. You would have more signs and symptoms of that. So I do not believe that the medication that she was off of caused damage to her brain In other words, made her psychotic, which then made her kill her brother.
When the police picked her up, like, again, you listen to her speaking and saying, "Mom, I'm sorry," blah, blah, blah. There's no psychosis here. She's not out of her mind. She is apologizing. She's very lucid.
So what could be going on here? It's stunning to me that a 911 call is placed. She runs outside. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She's apologizing profusely for what she did.
She knew what she did, didn't she?
It certainly appears so. So what do you make of that?
I have to wonder why the mother is talking so profusely about her good behavior. I wonder what that's covering up. So does that mean that she's had bad behavior in the past? And does this little girl have a different diagnosis? Is she bipolar? Sometimes bipolar disorder is confused with ADHD, particularly.
They're still doing it. They're still saying, "Oh, she's just crazy. If she's just crazy, then we don't have to put her away forever." Like the little boy. The little boy was just called a murderer, and he was put away for 12 years. But they're looking for excuses to let this girl off.
In very young children. Nobody wants to have their child diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but she could have a completely different diagnosis than ADHD, and that could also be why the medication was affecting her so poorly.
I have read that in the past, that bipolar disorder and ADHD can sometimes be confused for one another or misdiagnosed. But does bipolar disorder it does cause manic episodes, but does it cause one to stab someone repeatedly lying in their bed and then run out of the house apologizing about it?
Well, it's always going to be hard to determine what she was thinking at that time when this incident occurred. If she had become manic with her bipolar disorder, you would assume that there would have been signs leading up to this of her mania. Just sheer irritability would have been a sign that she was manic. Just irritability. It wouldn't have to be anything else. She could have been doing some risky things, but the mother continues to say that the little girl's behavior was good. It was good. So the biggest question I have in my mind is, what made her snap that night? I do not believe it was a medication. I have to wonder if the little girl was taking some sort of drugs that was in the house, or was she mad at her brother and wanted to kill him? That has to be in the differential diagnosis.
Finally, they admit it. They admit the elephant in the room, that she's simply mad at her brother and wanted to kill him. That this girl might be a psychopath. That's what they called the little boy, didn't they? They called him a psychopath. So that's got to be at least one of the possibilities they got to consider, right?
Had something happened between her and her brother, and she wanted to kill her brother.
So an impulsive act.
Yes.
Thank you for admitting that. But looking at this case where the boy came out and actually admitted it was to get back at his mother, I believe that that's what went on here. That his older sister killed him to get back at her mother. Her mother is guilty of something. That's what all the evidence from YC is leading to, right? So it's a typical case. The mother damages the children and causes this to happen. Okay, so I'm going to end it here.